Hello. Is my mic working? Yes. Is my music coming through? Hopefully also yes. Is Twitch being terrible? Yes. Without fail. Every time. Are you gonna load Twitch? What are you doing, Twitch? What do you think you are doing, Twitch? What about closed captions? Are you going to... I'm sorry. Technology has decided it's not cooperating. There we go. It's all open. I'm just waiting for my water to warm up. Now, if only I could get frickin' Twitter to work as intended. This app is so broken. Should not have let your Droid by. Listen, mistakes were made. Without doubt. 100% mistakes were made. Please don't ask me about how many work in progress I have right now. It's not a question I want to answer. We'll get started in just a second. I'm just grabbing my water. We're going to do my definite sewing homework for the main blazer I've been working on. We're probably going to work on the pants a bit because I want to try and finish those by Friday if possible. Susie. I'm sure the moment that I swap cameras, Susie will be like, yes, it's my time. I'm very annoyed because Twitch keeps having an encoding error. Alright, just chatting? My ad is about to start. I forgot to run the ad. Oh no! What are you doing? What do you think you were doing, camera? What if we swap you to this? And then to... There we go. Maybe? Yay! Ah, yes. And a Susie has been summoned. Please hold 1 second and you all can have a Susie. Yeah, I don't know why it was, alright, hold on. Wait a second, Susie. What did I do? What the heck? Aha! There we go. There we go. Have a Susie. Hi, Coldrake. I hope you're doing well today. Twitch is having encoding issues, but here, y'all can have a Susie who's getting pets. Because, of course she is. Good night, good morning, good time zone. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what day it is. I'm confused. Despite Twitch's issues, my internet seems to be working fine. It's just my browser having errors. So we're just going to hope for the best here. But I hope you're doing well. It has been a weekend. Last week was a week, but we got through it. Yeah, Eclipse Day, that's right. It was actually very funny. I had not intentionally been out walking around when the eclipse was like in the process of happening. Or I had not planned for it, but then it was like, oh, I should walk Susie before my next round of meetings. So like the 15 minutes leading up to the eclipse, or like the, what is it, totality or whatever. The 15 minutes to when it would be at the maximum that it might be for my area was when I was out walking around. And it was just very interesting from the perspective of watching how like the day slowly got darker. The apocalypse is coming. I forget what was happening in one of my work chats where they're just like, oh, it could be like this. I'm like, this is not the apocalypse I was promised. I would like everybody to know. Alright, Susie. Can I do stuff? Can I do things? This is actually now a Susie stream. There's gonna be a little bit of cleaning up happening to start stream. Hold on, please hold while I readjust camera. There we go. I don't know why I'm pushing up my sleeves when I could just take the hoodie off. cue my jokes about pants. We're making pants, we're also wearing pants. All of the above apply. But yes, I don't know how much of the eclipse you might have gotten, but hopefully you got whatever you wanted out of it. Pardon me while I actually get organized. So, I gotta pull out my notes out of my bag. Blazer is blazering. It is slowly looking more and more like a blazer. It has sleeves. Today we will be doing some hemming. We're going to be stitching down the under collar, like the lapel. So the way that this pattern is designed is that this very, very wide collar lapel piece is so wide that it actually overlaps with this outward seam. So you can either hand stitch it together. Mine is a little oversized. I don't know how I managed that. So I might be able to actually stitch it down with a machine stitch for the bulk of the body, because it's far enough over. And I'll just stitch in the ditch of this seam on each side for as much as I can. I will just have to, I will have to hand sew for the section that's under the pockets. So we will essentially be stitching this piece, you can kind of see not very well, to this seam on the outside. Sounds. Oh, hi, Prax. Hey, so I made the mistake, side story before we talk more about the blazer. I made the mistake of pre-ordering Guardian Volume 2 from the Crunchyroll store because it was discounted. I was like, oh, sure, I'll pre-order it here. And oh my god, it didn't ship for like a week. So despite it coming out like a week and a half ago, or however long ago it was, I just got it in the mail today. But I finally have Volume 2, so once I finish my current book, I will start on that one. Thought that we could be clouded over, which is normal for every celestial event the last few years. Instead, we got a break in the clouds to watch it all. We were in the totality zone. Nice. Yeah, I think we were supposed to have like 90%, but I didn't have the glasses and stuff, and I was walking Susie, and I had to run inside for a meeting. This fabric is terrible for fraying. I'm also using this same fabric for the pants we're working on, and it is the worst. It's like a polyester brocade-like. It's a decor fabric. I bought it from a local shop. They do an entire section that's like $2.99 per yard. This was in it. It was like 72 inches wide. So I was like, oh, perfect. I can make a lot with this. It is fraying the worst. Like, spoiler alert, I'm probably going to purchase a serger because of how much this fabric is fraying and making me sad. Which is so much and a lot. I did, hold on. Let me pull it off so I can actually show you. Hopefully the lighting's not too terrible. So on this seam that's the inside of the collar, I'm not doing anything to the seam allowance because stitching the lapel down to this seam, as I'm going to do tonight, will enclose that, and I don't have to worry about it. For the rest of these seams, despite how it might look, I don't know how well you can see all the little bits here. I'm sorry, I've been moving my lights around again, and I feel like it's just better, maybe not better. But hi, Prax, I hope you're doing well. I took a pair of pinking shears to this edge, and then I did do an overcast stitch on it. And it's still, I should have done this again. I should have done this against the hoodie. It's still fraying already. So this is going to be the fabric that breaks me and convinces me to buy a serger. I've accepted it. But yeah, this geometric, like this weird boxy geometric print turned out great. If any of you follow me on Instagram, I posted, and Blue Sky now, I did it today because I'm behind. So these sleeves, if you all remember, the initial, initial, words are hard. I don't know what words are. The initial blazer, you all might remember the purple with the green lapel, had a little bit of a puffier sleeve, which was by nature of how the sleeve is designed. There's more material up here. You're gathering it to make pleats, and that creates this look. Like a little bit of puff right at the shoulder seam. Cute for that one. Decided I wanted to try differently, so I matched up. There's a different sleeve option. So I cut the initial one, and then I laid the secondary one on and trimmed off the edge, so that I could have a little bit less of a puff at the actual shoulder seams. So sits a little bit more, turn this way, a little bit more flat. There's a teeny tiny bit of, gathering here, teeny tiny bit of pleating, but very tiny. But it was really funny because I was using the pinking shears as I was cutting it, and I had marked everything. So there were 3 dots to mark the center and 2 other markings on the inside of the sleeve, or on the inside of the body. And so when I trimmed it up, I was like, this looks like teeth. This looks like a mouth. This could be a fish. I'm a small child and I have a short attention span. Instant cosplay outfit, right? I will let you know I'm very slow in my current book because I've been working on it a bunch of other things, rather than reading, but my intent is to finish my current book so I can jump right into Guardian 2. Did my machine come with a sticker? I do not believe so. Now I have a box of things here. Applique foot, a 7-stitch, an open toe, straight stitch. Hold on a second. We will sew tonight, I swear. Straight stitch is 6. Not the one I was thinking of. Roller foot, blind stitch, braiding, zigzag non-stick darning, piping, a gathering foot. There's a knit foot, a fringe, a second darning foot, stitch guide. There is an overcast foot. So actually I do have I somewhere have an overcast foot because it's not in my, did I throw it someplace else? It's not here. Somewhere in my possessions. What is this song? I'm a mess. Dritzel's a liquid, which is supposed to keep fraying in check. Super glue. Yeah, I kind of, so a couple of people were talking about having the ability, oh wait, no. Overcast foot. It just fell out of the place where it belongs. It just wasn't in the spot. That's all that happened. I'm glad I reopened that. Flat hem, rolled hem, open toe foot. Why do I have 2 open toe feet? I have so many random things that I've just left sitting around. So I just throw them into one of my containers going, I'll remember this is there later. Instantly forgets. The moment I look away from it, I forget. So my machine did not come with an overcast foot, but I do have an overcast foot. So I did use, I didn't use the foot, but I have an overcast stitch on the other machine. So this is my heavy duty, Singer, and it is the most basic one, which if I was smart, I would have gone up one model and would have had more options, on the machine. But it has a zigzag, but not an overcast stitch. So I used the other machine to do that. So I did do that stitching here, and a bunch of people have talked about doing, using bias tape, is it a Hong Kong, stitch? Like a whole variety of different things. But like one of the women in this blazer class, has a serger, and she was showing, like, we were talking about the differences in finishing seams And she showed hers, and I was like, that's so good, it would be worth it. I was watching a video of somebody who was like, oh, I'm making this pair of pants, and the fabric I picked is just a little too thin. It's just a little translucent. I'm going to put a lining on it, but I don't care about closing the lining. So they just cut the pieces, like, to size, put the lining and the exterior fabric together, and then serged the edges, and then stitched the whole thing, because their goal wasn't to, like, enclose the seams. It was just to have another layer of fabric. So the pants would be slightly see-through. I was like, that's brilliant, serging them together. So anyways, but yeah, why not add? Honestly, it's really funny because I've been talking about sewing machine, not troubles, but sewing machine thoughts. I've had an entire comedy of, I've been thinking about it where it's like, if I just upgraded myself to one, like, a heavy duty, slightly higher end, like, not the beginner basic version that this one is. This is the lowest heavy duty model that Singer makes, which is the 4411. Like, I could go up to the 4423 and I'd probably have 90% of what I would want from a machine. But then I'm like, do I want to have to swap? What do I do with the old machines? Are all the attachments, like, I bought the quilting the quilting table that attaches to this. Will that fit on the next model up Singer? Like, there's so many ways I could make my life easier, but now I'm like, I'm committed to these machines for now. Like, they're good enough. At some point, I will be willing to splurge on a nicer, higher end machine, and I will probably, I don't know, take these someplace to be sold, maybe. But yeah, so in the interim, I'm like, can I make a serger work in this space? I'm not saying I haven't. I was cleaning over the weekend, and I was once again looking at everything, being like, is there a way that I could move this all around to make my life easier? To have, like, a better setup here. And I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm thinking about it. Part of my issue is I have to be willing to commit to pulling, the quilt, my blocking flannel. I was like, what is this? My design board, I need to pull that down. And I also have been resistant of moving any of my desks or things around to this side of the room, that you all know it. It's the side where I have the table where I iron and everything, because I have Halo 3 and my giant Zelda wall scroll hung up, and I haven't wanted to move them. It's mostly laziness, or I'm like, oh, I've already put holes in the wall. Do I really want to take these down and put them someplace else? But hey, Maridu, welcome in. I might be able to. I mean, who knows? So, like, that's a one day, but in the interim, I'm like, I could just buy myself a serger. This whole thing is a phone booth. I was actually thinking about it because I'm going to be doing some ironing tonight because we need to press seams and things like that. Actually, we'll leave this on for now because I don't have anywhere to put it at the moment. And one of the problems I have is I'm usually trying to see either the screens or the camera, and everything's on this side because that's how long my cables are. I would have to move things to get more flexibility, but where the wall plug is that I plug in, it means I'm always tripping over the cable because I'm right-handed, not left-handed, so I'd have to, like, reposition everything. And the whole time I'm going, I could move all of this, but will it actually be better? Because part of the challenge here is, one, I have so much equipment, including so many cables and wires and my entire computer setup, that I have to, like, feel reasonably confident in where I'm going to move everything before I do it, because it would be a pain to move it all back. So one weekend at some point, I'm probably going to, like, shift my cables around so that all of my cameras have extra long wires, and see if I can't set up in a different way and figure out if I actually want to move everything around. But in the interim, this is what we got. Working in a 6 by however wide the 6 by 10 maybe, if we're counting it, considering the fact that half of that 10 is taken up by this table. So anyways, blazer, we're just doing a little bit of homework, so it's a lot of pressing. I need to hem my sleeves, which should be fine. I have, like, clipped and prepped it, but I'm not going to hem the bottom yet. And so we're going to stitch down. Part of the reason we're going to do this first is also because I already have the machine threaded up with, like white and off-white thread. So, to swap to the other blazer, we're going to want to move to a dark thread. And then, allow me to show you all, before we do a little bit of cleaning and, some ironing and stuff, is we're using the same material to make a pair of pants. So like there's 4 pieces here. I got another 4 to go. The funny thing with this, y'all, is I've put a zipper into pants for the first time ever. It was an adventure. I did it wrong twice. Did a lot of seam ripping. I learned after the first time. After the first time, I was like, screw this. And I actually, what is this song? Pretzel. I basted the second time before I stitched it down because now like, it's on the wrong side. By wrong side, it's, I'm looking at my actual jeans that I'm wearing right now. It's like the zipper technically, like the fly should open the other way, but I got it backward. I got it wrong twice. It didn't even cover the zipper the first time where I'm like, what the heck did I do? It was just like an open zipper on the pants. But I put one in for the very first time, a zipper on pants. I learned a lot from it. Learned a lot. The instructions were very confusing. So, yes, this is, you can actually start seeing it here where, I need a darker background, but you can see this, like, the way that this is fraying. I actually trimmed a lot of this up because it was getting in my way. So, like, the real reason I want a serger, I think so. So, like, okay, awkward moment for a second, but I am wearing pants. So the zipper with the fly opens on the right side, like the way the fabric folds over. So the button and the fly opening is on my right side. I stitched this in on the left side. So the opposite, like it's on this side. So like, I don't know. I followed the instructions. The problem with it is they were like, oh, stitch the right, do this part of the zipper on the right side and this part of the zipper on the left side. And they didn't clarify if they meant the right side or the right or the left based on whether you were looking at the right side of the fabric or the wrong side of the fabric. So I think I stitched it assuming they meant that I should be orienting to the right side of the fabric. So when you're actually looking at the outside of the material, what would be the front of the pants, what is left and right. And I think I was supposed to be orienting it to where I was actually looking at the inside, and I think that would have switched it. So there was a whole comedy. I was in the open sew. So the context here is I did an open sew yesterday. So open sew at the studio I go to is basically, it's just a 2.5 to 3 hour block, where you can come in and have company, but you can work on any project you want. So it can be a personal project. It can be your homework for a sewing class, whatever the case may be. It's like, you can group think of like, hey, I don't know how to do X, or hey, I'm struggling with Y. Can somebody like take a look at the instructions and tell me your thoughts? But it's not a lesson. So you're not looking for specific instruction. Though whoever's hosting it on behalf of the studio, like whoever's there, opening and closing is one of their instructors. So it was a comedy because I was like, this instruction for the zipper makes no sense. And so like 3 people read it and we're all very confused. And then, the instructor hosting the open sew came over and read it and was still confused because they're like, what did you do? So I also messed it up partially myself. This is a little on me. But yes. What I learned is I do like the open sew in terms of having company. Like it's a bit like streaming. You go in, you're working on your project, you have some people around, you're all chatting. I was helping somebody who was working on a zippered sling bag that was similar to one I had made in a previous class. I happened to have mine there because I was using it as a purse. And So she would come over and I'd be like, well, let's look at mine. And we like got her through the last couple of steps. It was really funny because Michaela, who's the owner of the studio and the one hosting the session, was like, you don't have to, I wasn't expecting you to tutorial somebody. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I like have it here. If she wants to ask me while you're helping others, it's totally fine. Like, this is one thing I can answer. I'm not an instructor, but like she was at the finishing steps. It was a couple of things and we had mine as a completed, option right next, right there that we would look at and be like, oh, here's what you're doing at this step. So I realized I do like the open sew. Like it's a nice leave home, go to the studio, have a little bit of company. They max it out at 8 people. So have a little bit of company, but kind of have focus time for the most part sewing just with company. The only thing I would do differently is I had pre-cut the pants, but I had not placed all of my markings. So I lost like 45 minutes marking everything on the various pattern pieces before I actually got to start sewing. So I think I would want to show up with either an already in progress project, or I would want to at least have cut and marked everything in advance so that the time I spend there is largely sewing, because cutting and marking is simple. It's basic. You don't really need company for that. Nobody's going to help you with something. Like you don't have to understand it at that stage in the way that like I could have had a little more help with pattern construction, actually sewing as I had questions or what have you. Yes, honestly, Simplicity. I feel like I've had slightly better luck with McCall's patterns than Simplicity patterns, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, so we're starting on pants. Because it's the same material, I feel like it would be very funny to show up in these pants at class on Friday, because this Friday is our last class for the blazer, and have like a matching pair of pants. So we're going to do the homework first. We're going to then work on the pants, see how I feel. At some point, I am going to swap, either swap machines, and we'll put the darker thread on the other machine, or swap thread on this machine, so that I can work on the second blazer. That one's pretty far behind because I've just been trying to keep this one up to speed. Last week was a mess. So we're going to stay in this view, but we're going to turn a little bit to the side. And I'm going to move some things around because I need to clean this up just a tiny bit and get the iron set up so we can do some pressing, and then we will get into sewing. I've made a complete and utter mess of everything. I cleaned everything up just so that I could make a mess of it all. I will say this, though, that was kind of funny. Let me shift just a little bit. I will say this, which was, I feel like, can we do like a middle ground? There we go. Is I was working on the pants, and Michaela, who owns the studio, was, listen. These things happen. We are doing some sewing tonight. I did promise some sewing. All right, let's set you to the side. I did also start late tonight, in fairness. I don't think I went live until like 8:05, and then we had longer than 5 minutes before I actually got started, because I'm easily distracted. I picked out, once I've made it through a couple of these sewing patterns, or through a couple of these apparel garment projects, I've picked out 2 bags I want to try and make with vinyl, with like my test vinyl first, and then after that, so I have a giant mess here because I was pulling out all of my zipper tape to figure out what I had, what I wanted to use on the test builds, and then what I might want to use on the official builds. So I have some scrap vinyl that I got for relatively cheap at one of my local shops via Remnant. That should be fine for, again, testing the builds. And then, actually, we'll put this over here. And then I have the nicer fabrics that I would use. So many projects. In fairness, those are on my to be made list. They are not actually started yet. All you see right now, these three, the two blazers and the one pair of pants are my only actually cut and, well, I should say actually. They are the only projects I have already cut in terms of, which is when I consider a project in progress once I move it from, oh, it's just in a bin waiting to be started to actually, I have now cut fabric. I've written it in my notebook that it has begun. I'm also working on a crocheted shawl right now. I have like 15 more rows to go before it should be complete. And it's a test build that I now have a second that I will be making, hopefully before the end of June, as a gift to someone. So like, I'm just a mess. It's totally fine. Y'all should be used to this by now. Sorry, my music stopped. Music. There we go. I actually, I do follow Fierce Kittens. I've been watching some of their videos about bags and stuff. Mostly, I know that like there's different types of vinyls, like thickness, jelly vinyl versus others. I'm mostly just like, I want to get a feel for working with vinyl, which is why I bought the cheap ones. I have y'all have seen it. I have the fancy ones too. Y'all have seen my fancy vinyls, right? If you would like, I can show you fancy vinyl. They're right here. Let's move pants out of the way. We do not need pants right now. We do not need those particular pants right now. Here, I can show you. So you all have seen, because it's what I did the little pouch with. Like, this is a basic, vinyl. It's one of the remnants I bought. I think I have enough for at least one bag, one of the more complex ones I want to try. But I wasn't sure if I'd have enough for two. So I went by the same shop and picked up a second thing, of vinyl. So these are like super basic, solid colors, what have you. The whole intent for me with these is that I'm just practicing sewing with vinyl. Yes, needles. I have, yes, we have baby blue and like a dark kind of navy-ish blue. Oh wait, I'm like looking. For some reason, I was treating it like the camera was down and not up. Yeah, one of them, so I can, obviously for bags, you're typically going to put in a cotton or something as a liner, but those. So these are the test vinyls. And then y'all have seen, because I think I posted pictures of this, but this was the jelly vinyl, the kind of Studio Ghibli themed jelly vinyl that I used on my little marker pouch that I made. So I have this. I probably use it almost like a Ita bag in terms of like having maybe like a see-through pouch or something on one of the bags. I bought that one on discount. I got this fabulous sparkly dark blue. I don't know how well the lighting is for you all to see it. There we go. That's a little bit better. So glitter dark blue. So that's one of the fancy ones. And then the other fancy one is this geometric, it's like a mid-tone blue. It's not baby blue, but it's not a dark. But the reflective nature of it makes it look a little bit lighter depending on the lighting. So these are my fancy vinyls that I would use for like a second build after doing a first build. Because I haven't done those patterns before, that's what the test vinyl is for, so that I can then figure out the correct build with my fancier notions, my zipper tape and my rainbow treated or rainbow zipper pulls and stuff like that to use the fancy vinyl for. Put those back over there. All right, so we're going to spend a couple minutes just doing a little bit of ironing here before we start stitching things down. But yes, the rainbows, listen, they're fabulous. So I'm in the process of clearing out a variety of projects and fabrics by actually doing them in an effort to open up some space. So we're doing the 2 blazers. That was with fabric I already had. Obviously the pair of pants using the same fabric. Actually, let me see how close I can. Sorry, the bright light will just be in. The bright light will just be in frame. Are you kidding me? Thank you. So I have 2 blazers and the pants. I have 2 more test fabrics that are like twills, for 2 other pant patterns. I'm just testing out, since I've mostly been doing tops and jackets and a couple of like dresses. I'm just doing some testing with like pants now. Hilariously, the pant pattern that I am making from this fabric is actually one that the owner and instructor at I figured out the problem here. There we go. The owner instructor at the sewing studio was like, "Oh, tell me what you think of that, because I have that as a potential pattern for us to try and do a pants class for." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." She's like, "You'll be my test subject." Unintentional test subject. She's like, she has her own materials to do a build herself. But I do think it's a little bit funny that she wants me to give my opinion on my own build. Alright, so also going to press our shoulders and our sleeve seams. Yeah. But yeah, so I think my net of it is I did enjoy the open sew, and I would do more in the future. I mostly just want to make sure that I have kind of any projects I take in appropriately prepped so that I can make the most of the time I have there to sew. Oh, hi, Cypher. Oh, I should look. I don't think Twitter ever posted. I kept getting... So Twitter is very broken, as we all already know. But I kept trying to post my Go Live tweet, and I didn't even get an error. It would look like it posted, and then I would go check, and it wouldn't be there, and I would find it as failed to send in my drafts. So I don't know if they just don't like me, like what's going on here, but welcome in. I'm doing a little bit of ironing. There will be much more ironing tonight, but a little bit of ironing right now before we do some stitching on the blazer. I do have to laugh. Several of the people in this blazer class, it's the first time that they're doing like build of something like a blazer or a jacket, especially with like shouldn't say especially with, but including things like with sleeves, what have you. So it's very interesting and a little wild to me to be one of the more experienced people in a class. And it's quite funny because I'll just come in and be like, so I didn't finish X. And then whoever the instructor is will be like, oh, it's fine. I say whoever, our regular instructor was not available this past week. So we had a temp instructor, Michaela. All right, sorry, I'm moving this out of the way. We're going to switch over to our crafting view. So we can actually do some stitching here. And while DC, hello DC, I hope you're doing well. How did your game go this weekend? I'm sorry, I could not make a 3 a.m. Oh, I'm like, what is all this stuff right here? It is, whoops. On the floor. I'm a mess. Despite my best efforts to not be a mess. Alright, that was my instructions for the pants. But I hope everyone's doing alright. I hope that your solar eclipse day went well for you. Alright, I think the way I'm going to do this, actually I'm going to mark, hold on a second, please hold, there we go. Mark the sleeves for the hemming so I can do all of this kind of in one go. Just turn my sleeve and say, yay, it was good and it was fun and you raised a bunch of monies. Yay. Always what we want to hear. Alright, so we're going to do a 1/2 inch hem here. We are going to do it as, it's going to be a, essentially a rolled hem, but a large rolled hem with purpose is really the intent here. We're just going to prep all of this so we can stitch all the things at the same time, or in one go without too much in between. Well, in this case, I've just realized I'm sort of sabotaging myself. Not sabotaging, but I want to iron before I stitch. I also want to check. Did the pinhole camera trick? Wasn't past the 90%. Nice! That's fantastic. Oh my god. I know that this phrased terribly because 1, it ends up all over me, and then 2, it ends up on Susie. Susie just has random threads on her. Actually, I feel like 1 inch is gonna be great. Okay. So let's do the other side. My sleeves ended up a little long, but I think that will end up being actually kind of perfect. But yeah, so we're gonna get a blazer done. It's funny because everybody's just like, you're such an overachiever. Why are you working on 2? And I'm like, did you not just hear yourself? It's because I'm an overachiever. But it's been nice to reinforce all the things I'm learning by doing it twice. And not in the like, I did it wrong and I need to seam rip and do it again, but just in like the general, now waiting superpowers from the eclipse. Listen, goals. like I said earlier on stream during work things, it was very funny because we kept being like, this is not the apocalypse I was promised. Oh, there we go. There we go. Alright. So here, let me swap cameras again. Just a little bit. Sorry, y'all are just gonna have, like, there's no good place I can put my light where it's not gonna be in frame. So the challenge here, context for you all, iron is right here on the left side of my little mini ironing board in the table, and the outlet for it is also to the left side. So really, I should be putting the ironing board on the far side and turning myself around so that it's on the right side and I'm not going to trip over the cord. But we're not going to do that because that requires moving things. And I just don't want that for myself. Alright. Theoretically, I can... Emphasis on theoretically. I can hand stitch this for if I should so choose. But I'm just going to do a rolled hem, and I'm just going to stitch the top of the hem down. I'm not too concerned about having a top stitch on this. The only thing I will do is I will trim the frayed threads before I try stitching it down, because otherwise that's just going to be a pain. Twitch gave me a button. Best button. Thank you for that, Streak. I appreciate you hanging out with me regularly and repeatedly. But yeah, so I don't feel like I have too much. I'm working on many projects, clearly too many. It's a crafter's life for me, obviously. Oh, this fabric is a pain. I won't say I hate it, but it's a close thing. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But yeah, so I think my big things from this past weekend, I did a bunch of cleaning and organizing. Organizing in the sense of I'd made a mess of everything over the past few weeks, so I was spending the time getting everything back into its place. Not necessarily reorganizing or anything, but cleaning up. I've started opening very slowly. I am opening up space in my shelves of fabric as I work on more of these projects. As mentioned, I have 2 more pants projects with a couple different styled. One is a twill and the other is like a polyester twill-like material. So I am hopeful. Like, I'm just trying different materials to get a feel for making pants and what type of give they have. And who knows, maybe I'll put a pair on and they'll rip and we'll just be like, well, not that. I have 2, almost what I would consider like zippered exercise tops. That I have like a pont knit for, that I'm actually quite excited to mess with. It's similar to, if you all remember the red cropped hoodie. It's that type of fabric. So I'm going to test out 2 kind of jacket-ish. They're very much like exercise jacket projects with it. Those, once I like actually get them cut out, will probably be quick and straightforward. Oh, my apologies. I forgot to switch. So basically, once I get, I think, through these 3, which my goal is to get kind of wrapped up by the weekend, if not done by then. Well, wrapped up blazers by Friday. Ideally, pants also by Friday. I'm going to be doing a lot of sewing the next 2 days. Trying to get all these projects done in time for class on Friday. When we will be doing finishing touches, like putting on the buttons. But if I do, that'll knock out 3 projects, and then I should have both the space and the pins available to cut a couple more. So cut 3 to 4 more projects that I might also try to knock out. Well, not all of them, but maybe knock out 1 or 2 over the weekend. I'm supposed to be playing Magic with some friends. And I also, it's a hair weekend, y'all. And by hair weekend, I mean, I am due for a cut and color. I do not know what either of those will look like. So we'll all find out at the same time, either the next time I see you all online or well, next week. Or, assumingly, I might post some photos of them. But I'm due for a color. We're doing kind of, I feel like, despite the fact that it has still been chilly, and we've had, like, could have been snow / sleet in the past while, that we're going to be doing kind of my summer cut. So likely that we will cut some of the length. I'm due for color. I don't remember. I think it's my, for those of you who haven't been here either before when color was happening or for long, it is a personal friend of mine who does my hair, and I trust her. So sometimes so we rotate. Like, obviously I provide guidance and like, oh, this is what I'm feeling, like this is the color I'd like right now, or, you know, this is what I'm looking for from my cut at this time. But otherwise, I kind of let her do what she wants. And so we rotate sort of on like who's taking lead on what color. So I wanted blue last time, so it's her kind of turn to pick what like the color is. Of course, we like reach agreement on it. She makes sure I'm getting what I want out of my haircut. Go. Trying to decide if I want to press it or if I just want to go ahead and stitch it. Let's press it first. But yeah, so I'm due for our, like, this will be, the sort of summer prep cut. And by summer prep, I mean, it's like, this will be my pre-summer cut. I probably won't go in to see her again until like August. So whatever I choose here will sort of be what I have for the bulk of the summer. From a cut and a color standpoint. We talked about some inspiration, last time I was there, some inspiration and ideas, of what we could do that would be fun by the time Pride comes along. Part of the issue right now is the cord for the iron. So in addition to wanting to purchase a serger, I would also like to purchase a cordless iron. That is also on my list. That might be, I have finally, very late, this is unusually late for me, but I have finally completed my taxes over the weekend. So maybe that'll be my splurge for myself, with my tax return, will be buying a cordless iron and maybe buying myself a serger. I can see that you have posted things, but I am not there yet, so please, I shouldn't say I'm not there yet. I'm just far enough away that I cannot read the chat from here, so please hold. Let's see. You did the finger weave and got 3 images, which was pretty cool for anyone out on their back porch and took a pic of the shadows and light thanks to leaves. Ooh, hundreds of eclipses. That, I feel like that would be really cool. Just give me the Farrah Fawcett or the Dorothy. Nice thing about hair, it does most times grow back. Honestly, I have more than once had conversations with her about just like chopping all of my hair off. But I think I'm too used to being able, well, let's move my wine. I've never, so funny story, flashback to Lady Luck as a child. In 3rd grade, I had very long hair, longer than it is now, so probably like elbow length or below. And I was my own worst enemy. So I absolutely hated to put my hair up. I always wore it down. But then during the summers, oh, I've made a mistake. Well, too late now. During the summers, I would always complain that I was too hot. And it was this whole comedy with my mother, where she'd be like, well, if you're hot, your hair's like not helping because it's on your neck and everything. And so she'd be like, put your hair up. And I was like, no, I don't want to put my hair up. So I would relentlessly complain about the fact that my hair was helping overheat me and then do nothing about it. Which is funny because now I obviously like being able to have my hair up and out of the way. And note here that for this particular style of stitching, or this particular, I could have chosen to do a blind stitch here. But I did not because I'm lazy and I wanted to machine stitch it. And then I kind of effed it up. So, like, you know, that tracks. It's good enough. Nobody can judge me for it. Well, I mean, people can judge me, but I don't care. Hey, Wolf Tracks, welcome in. How are you doing? What is with this creepy music? So anyways. Sewing is going. We spent like 30 minutes talking, but now we're legit sewing. Look at that. Like, there's one little spot. We'll iron it and I'll hopefully make it seem less terrible. But so clearly, so finally, hilariously, or not hilariously, depending on how you look at it, my mother got tired of me complaining about it. So, like, in the spring, in 3rd grade, when I started being like, oh, it's starting to warm up. Oh, I'm like, it's too hot. And she It's like, put up your hair. I'm like, no, I don't want to put it up. I don't want to wear it in a ponytail or anything. After all of that, so my mother was like, okay. And she took me to a hair salon, and she had them chop off most of my hair. I went from having hair down to my elbows to having it cut to my ears. So, like a super short bob, I guess. And I cried, y'all. Let me tell you. I bawled my eyes out. I remember going into school the first day after it was cut, and I was too embarrassed to go into class, so I was just standing outside of class crying. So, like, slightly traumatizing hair story. And then hilariously, once we got past, like, the initial, like, oh no, my hair's all cut, it's not long and pretty anymore, which I'm sure, there was a portion of my mentality that was just incorrectly tied to, like, long hair being prettier or what have you. I ended up actually liking it, and I kept my hair short for, like, 3 years. So it was kind of a funny comedy of things. But anyways, I have never since cut my hair that short. I think the shortest I've done is, like, shoulder length. Like, just a teeny bit too short to be able to pull up into, like, a hair tie or anything. But I largely, even when I cut it short, I'm usually, like, cut it just long enough that I can put it into, like, a little stubby ponytail, like, pull most of it out of the way, because, like, exercise in summer and stuff is just miserable. Like, going and running, again, I spent a long time, in Florida. Running in Florida, like, being a distance runner in Florida, with hair that's too short to pull up, even if you could put, like, a headband or something on it, it's just, like, not my idea of a good time. Hey, Puddle Glum. Sorry, you came in the middle of my hair story. So anyways, my point with all of this is, it is unlikely that I will get my hair cut to a pixie cut, but we might end up cutting it shorter, than you all have probably seen it for at least a couple of years, for those of you that have been hanging out, for that long. And, but I don't know yet. It'll kind of be up to her. We talked about one of the reasons that we would kind of cut my hair in the way that you all typically have seen it when I am wearing it down, is because I would go pretty long swaths of time without visiting. So it'd be like, okay, well, it needs to be cut in such a way that it still works reasonably well as a haircut, 6 months from now. And so we would keep it long, and we would cut it into very specific ways. And now I was like, well, what if I came back more often? So we'll see what she says. She'll help pick the style. And I think she gets to choose the base color this time. So she gets style and color. So who knows what I will look like next week after my appointment? Who knows? I could have pink hair for all we know. Cordless iron. Okay, so I'm going all the way back. Cordless iron, like the one, put it on the stove, heat it with metal. No, not like that. As fun as that would be, I'm sure. Giant long ponytail, basically. Talking with chat, distracting a streamer from working, that never happens. That would never happen here. That never happens in any stream ever, but especially not here. Oh no! Listen, I appreciate when family members are like, I can do this for you, but 9 times out of 10, they don't know what they're doing. I say this as, one time my mother letting me cut her hair as a child, and yeah, that was a mistake. I didn't know how to cut hair. Mom ended up with a buzz cut, and she wore scarves around. And that's the other thing where, like, on one side, I would love to try, like, rocking a pixie cut, but on the other side, I'm going, if I hate it, it is going to take years to grow back out. And it also, like, just shorter hair requires maintenance. So if you do want to keep that look or cut, you know, you generally speaking want to, so we're going a little slow here because I'm trying to stitch right along the seam line. Now again, the underside of the lapel is just long enough that it is, for the most part, catching the edge of the fabric underneath. It's getting a little close here at the widest section of, like, the collar, this particular piece, but we'll be able to go a good distance up. I hate to say I'm cheating, but, like, I'm trying not to have to hand stitch this. So it's a little bit of me being like, well, I don't want to have to. As much as I can avoid hand stitching, I do. And I'm hoping, because I'm using a white thread here, that even where I wasn't quite perfect on it, that it'll mostly be lost in. So let me put a pin in here and I will show you all what I have done. It'll be a little difficult to see because my thread is white. But if I show you all, essentially, outside of here, it's open here because this is where the pocket is, so there isn't a place. But essentially what I'm doing is I was stitching, as I throw something on the floor. I'll turn it around so y'all can see it. So I was stitching along this seam. And reminder, we have this outer piece of the body that turns into the collar further up. And then underneath is full-size same piece, but turns into the lapel further up. So this will, at the bottom is the inside of the jacket, and at the top becomes your lapel and collar. So by stitching on that line, because this piece is a little oversized, you can see the stitch line here. So rather than having to hand sew it, I've just stitched it closed. And so the idea being is that you would hand sew these two pieces together, and if you did it correctly, if they were perfectly sized to each other, you would be able to hide the stitching because of the seam. In this case, because they weren't perfectly sized, the underside was a little bit too big, I was able to just stitch along this seam line. The threading, unless you're looking, is mostly going to be hidden in the seam itself unless you're looking and paying a little too close attention to it. And I get the same effect of closing this up. And now I will only have to hand stitch this section that represents where the pocket is, and I can't stitch it down. If I'd been smart, I would have stitched it down before I put the pockets on, but that's on me. Mistakes were made, but it's fine. And I would like you to know that I was very upfront with the instructor that I was going to cheat. I was like, I have a way to do this without having to hand sew the whole damn thing. They know how I feel about hand sewing things, which is that I hate it. That said, I will do the hand sewing to close under the pocket at a certain stage, but not right now. So we're just going to do this. I'm not closing it all the way, because where we stitch everything down is a little bit different. I'll tack a couple of things, but for the most part, that now encloses our lapel. Hey Furwick, good morning. I hope you have coffee. Oh, I didn't realize it's gotten turned so far. went from having hair long enough to sit on to having chin length fog when I was in first grade. The fact that I could brush my hair by myself, right? It's wild. Coldrake, give yourself an exclamation point pun for a much delayed pun there. It's a long hair story. And I was very stubborn as a child. Yeah, it's actually, like, looking back now, it's wild to me that I took, besides the complaining about, the length of hair, like, overheating me during the summer. It's a little wild that I kept my hair that long for that long. Just because I feel like the care was way more that I wanted to put into it. Me as an adult, at least. Alright. Just got home and grabbed some of the yeah, raining sideways fun. There have been way more than 23 puns here. I just forget to remind people that there's a pun counter. There's a couple of things I have hidden in Nightbot. There's a pun counter. There's a death counter. So exclamation point rip would give you deaths. So people wanted to, they keep track of deaths when I play games. There's also a, like, quote function. So, like, you can add a quote, you can call a quote. I would have to double check, I don't remember what all those commands are, but I put them in once, and then forget to tell people about them. So they never actually get used. So they're like a nice little surprise. Oh my god, come on. What? Oh, how the heck did you do that? Thread. How? Alright, hold on. I gotta fix. What the heck, Thread? What were you doing? Go. You should be fine now. That's fine. I don't think we ever made it to that. Like I said, they exist. I just keep forgetting to. That was very clearly, we get to be the top banana. Clearly from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm pretty sure I was making fun of, what's his name from the Yiga clan when that happened. I'm sure there's some. I don't think there's many. There's maybe like 5 or 10. Because we kept forgetting that I put that functionality into Nightbot. Mother, you were both at wit's end trying to keep long hair in order. If there was ever a detangling product in the market in the early to mid 90s, we tried it. Fair. Happier or shorter. And that's the thing where it's like, conceptually I'm like, oh yeah, like the super long hair that you can do lots of fun things with. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of maintenance. That's a lot of effort. More maintenance and effort than I'm willing to put into most things. Yeah, banana. It's always a good decision to make fun of the Yiga clan, right? So this is the thing, is like, so there's, the pun counter, the death counter, and then the quotes, and I always forget that I put those in, and I'm not good at reminding people, so we forget it's there and then we never use it. So I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 quotes that I probably am like, I don't remember what was happening there, but it was probably weird. This is awkward because I want to start from the bottom and work up, so I do have to put the bulk of the blazer under the machine on this side, which is slightly annoying, but it is what it is. Ugh. This is the fabric. I'm not kidding, y'all. I have definitely been looking up sergers. Honestly, if the one I've tentatively picked out as being like one of the more popular, I hate to say entry-level servers, but like sergers, but not as expensive serger, I guess is the way I would put it. Like sergers can get real pricey real quick. So this is like under $300 serger. It's a Brother 1034D. There's also a 1034DX, but it sounds like most people prefer the D over that. And if Joanne had it, I probably would have purchased it this weekend. But they do not have it in stock. So I might this upcoming weekend go to, there's a like sewing machine place, like 30 minutes south of me. I might go see what they have in stock there. Alright, once again, we've now done the same thing. Again, I'm not going all the way up because I do want to, I can always do additional stitching later if I need to, but for the most part, I'm, mostly looking to ensure that it's mostly stitched down. Technically, I don't even need to do the hand stitching yet. I will stretch in just a second. Let me finish trimming this off. And then all that'll really be left on this will be, or left from a homework standpoint, will be if I want to do the hand stitching before before Friday, because I know what days are. And if I want to, I'll probably do a little bit more pressing, but not tonight, because I want to move on to the pants. I would love to get the pants done in time to wear them on Friday. You are right. The quilt, nothing will ever be worse than moving the quilt around. Real talk. Trying to move a quilt, like I've looked for fun at like the sewing tables where you're, wow, words are hard. Where you're laying the machine on a slightly lower set so that it's even with the table to make it easier to move things through instead of having like this several inch differential. But I just can't justify buying another table when I have all of this already. Let's go take a look. Yeah, Twitch is like, you cannot make this post. Good to know. I'm sorry, Twitter. So, it's not all done. But we're certainly very slowly getting to a better state for our blazer. Hold on, let me switch cameras. I was like, what am I stepping on? My stuff that I threw on the floor. Hold on. Ugh. Move all back. If I wanted to, I could have a pop collar. So, not looking too bad. Assume that probably, once the button's put in, this is about how it will. I'm trying to make like enough space so y'all can see the edges, see the sides without everything in the way. So this is about probably where the button will overlap. So slightly longer. Hard to tell because we have a light background, but a little bit more fit to it. I could probably pull in a couple of these seams if I wanted it to be a little bit tighter or try moving down one size. The problem is that though I guess I could always try moving down one size. want to keep my shoulders wide enough that I can do stuff without necessarily pulling. Now that I've done all that stretching, I want to go look and see if my seam's held. Seem okay. So yeah, blazer's nearly complete. We need to put in the button. We'll do some finishing touches. I'll eventually sew the bottom hem. I have a bunch of clips on it. But that'll be for Friday. The dark colored blazer is still not. Well, it is not. I have not gone through all of the steps, the collars and the sleeves and everything else that you can see on that one. You all can see, like, this one is at the vest stage. A vest. Look at that. Look at that. It's a vest. Theoretically, I could do the collar, I could do all the finishing steps, and then I could just close the shoulder seams, and I wouldn't have to put sleeves on it if I wanted more like a blazer-like vest, but pockets are pinned, but not actually, oh, can't see it, there we go. Pockets are pinned, but not actually sewn on, so maybe I will put the collar on first, stitch it down, and then put the pocket on. No, because then the whole point is you stitch it down so that the seams will be enclosed in the... Can't win! So this is what I'm going to be working on this week as well. Probably going to attempt to get both this and the pants finished in time for Friday so that I can have just finishing touches on both projects. So that is... We're going to set that to the side now. I'm just like throwing a bunch of stuff on the floor. Alright, so... I'm going to swap over. Actually, no. Now that I've just done that, I'm sorry. We're just going to go back and forth because I don't know what I'm doing. I need to press seams on the pants. So that is what we are going to do right now. I don't remove everything from here. Because there are some markings, which is... This is one of the things that's very annoying by having, I shouldn't say having, but by using markers instead of like chalk and stuff for so by using the erasable markers instead of like a chalk or a pencil. The downside is that I have all these markings I've put in here that now, for me to press everything open appropriately, will be slightly problematic because that will get rid of those markings. Which is annoying as heck. So I kind of got to pick my battles in terms of what I want to do here. Or be willing to come back and... Funny, one of these is like perfectly aligned and the other one is not. I guess I could take... let's be smart, y'all. Let's be smart. And what we're actually going to do is we are going to take a pencil to this. So even if... Nope, that is very hard to see. Please tell me the pink will do better. So you have these markers, which are called friction pins. They're actually popular generally as just regular pins, but they have the benefit that when heat is applied to them, they disappear off the fabric. I have been told that they can technically reappear in like the extreme cold. But hopefully that is never anything I'm going to have to deal with. So I'm taking my pencil in the hope that when I iron this, even if the pin disappears, the pencil markings should still be here because these pencil markings should only disappear with water. So, you know, just different things. I don't know that I needed that marking, though. You know? This isn't going to be perfect, just has to be good enough. Alright. Anything else here? No. Nothing else that really matters. Besides at the bottom, which is a problem for future Mandy, we'll just press. I like how I'm like, yep, problem for future Mandy. Gosh darn it, as I say that. No, I'm gonna put, there's pleats that we do here. Alright. Let's try doing this side first. These seams are going to be a pain. Not just in general, but also primarily because of the fraying fabric. I'm gonna press them open just so stuff lays flat. That was one of my mistakes last time around, but then I'll probably try to take potentially take an overcast stitch to this as well. Pressing, so important to the quality of what you do, but still such a pain in the ass to do. Also, pants are frustrating because there's just so much you have to press. Like, it's an entire length, half a length of your body. Actually, maybe more than that, depending on what your proportions are. Welcome back, Puddleglum. I'm glad that trash has been taken out. And hopefully was not difficult. This fabric is why I'm buying a serger, y'all. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. Maybe that's what I'll do Friday afternoon. Take a field trip down to this shop. Be like, what do y'all got? No, I can't because I have class Friday. Gosh darn it. Well, no, if I go early enough, I could. I have to take a call at 2 p.m. But then I should be fine. One of the challenges too with fabrics as you're pressing them, in the case of this, is also the way that the fabric is being pulled by the weight of the rest of the pant. The real question becomes, is there anything else I need to do Friday afternoon? Like, will I have all of my sewing done? Because if the answer is no, then I will need to be sewing in advanced class. But if I do have all my sewing done, then I can probably be able to make the field trip down, potentially by a serger. I don't know where I'm going to put a serger, but I'm going to try. Okay. We've now pressed our pant open. Our pencil markings are still there, even if some of our other markings are not. This feels like the type of fabric. So this is the type of fabric where I would probably do like that video I told you all about. Where I'd be like, I'm going to put a liner on this, but I don't need it to, close the seams. I just need it to provide another layer, and I would serge the edges of the fabric. God, this is fraying so terribly. Like, I hate this for me. Okay, we're actually going to sew things now. It's always a slight ordeal because there are two 12-unit buildings here and the dumpster's on the far side. Yeah, I feel like that's my, it's my journey. Okay, so I'm not gonna say I've made a mistake. But they wanted me to press the seam allowances towards the front. So what I've done is I've pressed the seam allowances open, and now we will press them towards the front. Whoops. Listen, these things happen, y'all. Sometimes we make mistakes. Totally fine. No big deal. Interesting that they have you pressing towards the front. It's not what I would have expected. Though this works to my advantage because I was going to want to try and do an overcast stitch on this at some point, so stitching it all together, or pressing it back together. So pressing it open helps to like open up and lay the seam flat, and then pressing it to the front then, because we're going to top stitch this down, essentially, which is going to probably be a problem for future Mandy. Unless I want to try and trim and fold this under, which, for all I know, I might end up doing, y'all, in an effort to deal with these absolutely terrible raw seams. Yeah, I was going to say, but to your point, my building, the trash is pretty far away, but the recycling is even further, so it's like an entire field trip to take the recycling out. Which, like, good for my walk, like, health. Nice longer walk. Annoying when I have a whole bunch of stuff because I've been lazy and haven't taken it out in a timely fashion. Alright. So, not gonna lie. I do sort of want to attempt to fold this under. Alright, so they want me... Yeah, and then they want me to top stitch on the inside. I'm gonna try this. I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to attempt it. I have this little presser thingy. That includes a section that is, you know, iron/heat appropriate. I think that's going to be too thick. I don't think it's going to do what I want. I think it would when I stitch it, but it's going to be a pain in the ass. I have an idea. Also this idea is not going to work, despite what I would otherwise hope. Alright, well, we're gonna regret it later, y'all. It'll be fine. Still anemic and have back issues, so sometimes stuff ends up getting loaded into my car. Listen, I've done it too, and I don't have those excuses. I'm just like, I don't want to walk that far, so I'll like take out either the trash or the recycling when I'm like having to drive somewhere, and I'll just carry it out to my car and be like, on the way out of the parking lot, I will go over here and drop this off because I don't feel like walking that distance. So, mood, respect, I feel you. Yay for physical therapy evaluation. Hopefully it is, to your point, positive. And alright, so let me double check. We're not going to make it all the way through a leg because I'm almost out of my bobbin. I just want to measure. Alright. So it is now requested that not requested. The instructions say do a top stitch 1/4 of an inch from the seam. And like I said, I know I'm going to run out of my bobbin thread partway through this, but it'll be fine. One of the things I also want to start getting better at, which I have not been, is, yep, there we go. Just ran out. Is trying to actually track the time I spend working on a project. Oh no, still on iron. Thank you for the heads up. Appreciate you. Forgetful. This is just who I am as a person. I didn't have the iron cam set up last time, so I was just like partially off screen when I was ironing. So I wasn't switching camera frames. This time I'm like, oh, I will, because I'm going to spend more time at the iron. And then I forget. But yeah, when I work on projects that I don't only do on stream, the downside of it is that then I do not have a very good record of how much time I spend on the project. So the challenge with pants is you do use a lot of thread on these, so we're going to make a slightly bigger bobbin than I have been. But yeah, I want to get a little bit better about tracking, like, all right, how long does it take me to make this? I will say for, like, first projects, I'm less, like, it's not that it isn't useful to know how long it took me the first time I made something, but I think it's kind of less... There's so much of, I don't know how to do this, I have to look it up, I need to reread the pattern 5 times, that I feel like subsequently you'll gain like at least an hour back in time it took you to work on a project. The moment that you're like, well, I kind of technically know how to do this. So as a reminder, we press the seams into the front, and now I am doing a top stitch that stitches that seam down so that it will not move too much while once we get to the finished product. Which is 1/4 of an inch, which I have a rough estimate of where that falls against this particular might have to redo. Some of my markings here, because it looks like the pencil maybe didn't hold on. Darn you, pencil! That's it. My top stitch looks pretty solid here. Not afraid to say I do good work when I do good work. I just wish I had a darker pencil to use. But I don't want it to be too dark because then... we'll remark that later. So this is 2, and this is 1. We'll remark that later. So now let's do the other side. Again, one of the challenges, or one of the things with that is interesting and a little bit challenging with pants is you typically want to work from center of mass out, so that if you end up with uneven seams or what have you, those seams end up at the bottom where you can try and like even everything out without it being too obviously incorrect. But then that means as we get further along, as you're about to see, we're going to once again end up with all of the fabric ends up under the arm of the sewing machine instead of on the outside, because you have to follow the correct lines. So we're going to do the same thing here. Here you all can actually see, I'll show you here, my comedy of trying to put in, or the zipper that I had to put in like 3 times. Because I didn't know how to do. I've never made the fly for pants before. So, you can see, this is the inside with all of the pieces. If you look out, we have our nice, there's just one stitch line here, not perfect, not terribly even. But so we have our pants. I might do a second stitch a little bit shorter under, despite the markings. But yeah, I think technically this is on the wrong side. I think for women, the like fly opening is supposed to be on the opposite side. So like that was just me being confused reading the instructions because I'd never done this before. And I wasn't the only one. Alright. So again, top stitching, this helps put down, attach or stop the seam allowance from moving too much. And then it's a nice finishing touch. In terms of just like adding lines, like if I wanted to, I could do this in a contrasting color thread, so that it kind of pops off of the fabric. As a detail, I've just personally chosen not to do that. I want all of my stitching detail here to be a little more subtle. Mostly because this is the first time I'm doing it, and I want it to look good. Or to at least, like, you can't pick out all of the things I messed up. That's maybe a better way. Okay. Oh, this fabric is fraying so much. I hate it. Seems like such a good fabric. Also, like, yes, the blazer is fraying, but not at the like speed at which the pants are fraying, which makes no sense to me. Technically, they were both correct, cut on the correct grain lines and all of that other nonsense. I mean, correct sewing technique. Okay. Well, you know it's bad when like the pieces of fraying material or like the frayed thread is getting caught on a million other things. Like, we've got a problem here. When that's the case. But it's fine. This is totally fine. This is what I need a serger for. I'm honestly very easily going to talk myself into a serger, I feel. No shame. I deserve it. I can buy myself nice things. That aren't just fabric. Alright. So, we top stitched from the seam. Alright, we're doing the pockets next. There's going to be some pressing involved. Not you. You're a pant. You're a pant. I mean, they're all technically pants. What I actually meant here is that they are part of the pant leg and not the pockets. Oof. Short break. That's fine. I could do with a hydrate break. We'll probably go a little past 10, but I'm not going to do a 3-hour night tonight. I'm trying to have some level of self-control. Where did I just put? Here we go. Let me sharpen my pencil and put some markings on. If there's a Furwick here, Furwick. Got some of my ink that I can put into. There we go. Alright. Ink for my, whatchamacallits, because I know what words are. Correction, I do not know what words are. Ink for my fountain pen, because I know what words are, she says to herself once again. In an effort to avoid attempting to burn myself repeatedly because I get too close to my iron, I picked up one of these little, I don't even know what I call this. It's not like an awl, but it's like a stencil. Stiletto, that's the word. A sewing stiletto, which is kind of meant for you to, like, not try to put your fingers close into stuff you shouldn't. So one side of it is a, like, pointy, good for going in with the actual sewing machine, and the other side is good for heat, so I can use it with the iron. I'm just folding under the hem that I am Alright. So we'll stitch the ends in a second. Oh no! Oh no! Small mistake has been made. And that, the spot here is still hot enough from the ironing before that it actually was, like, going through the fabric and disappearing my current, marker. Wild. Didn't know that the heat could be that potent. Oh, I forgot to mark this side for the stencil. Well, I say stencil, I meant. Well, we'll use the other as a potential. I'm a mess, y'all, and I admit it. I have no shame. You should really know that by now if you're here. Human disaster in the making. Reminder to hydrate, everyone. Nightbot keeping us honest. All right. So yeah, bought a stiletto. So one side is gray, which is like appropriate for heat. The other side is just this nice little point. So I could theoretically more easily move things through the sewing machine than I currently do. All right. I'm going to fold all this under. So I can kind of just see where our markings are. I'm super annoyed because this is all not quite stayed where I would like it to, but it's fine because I'm not surprised. One which I did mark. Okay, there we go. All our markings are in. Well done, us. Okay. Let's take a quick look. Oh, we'll have to press some more. More I can. And they want me to stitch it, which I can do. Alright. We're going to use some clips on this because it's been freaking annoying. Fight me, bro. I say to my sewing project. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate, like, should I be confrontational with my sewing project? Will that help me or hurt me? Do sewing projects have feelings? Asking for a friend. I need to get a feel. There's some people who are freaking amazing at this. I am at like using a stiletto to like move their project along and into everything, and I'm not one of those people. So, not particularly even stitched, but that's irrelevant. We'll have to do some marking and some more ironing on this. White staying folded under the way I would like. The fraying along this is very much not helping. It doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be good enough. Alright. This is why I'm gonna convince myself I need a serger. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't know where I'm gonna put a serger, but I feel like it would make some components of my life, like this, so much easier. Like, I'm just saying. Just saying. You can judge me all you want for that I'm, like, convincing myself I need another piece of sewing equipment when I'm already... What is it Coldrake says? I'm working in a phone booth? Or the equivalent of... One day I'll set this space up in a way where it's, like, not quite so problematic. But I don't know how much I can realistically do with limitations of the space. And this random pillar in the middle of the room. Which means, like, I effectively have to cut that side of the... Also, I should also quantify, too, that part of the reason why this is slightly challenging is because the plug for internet into my modem and router and everything is over here behind the computer. So I'm, like, not inclined to move, say, the computer desk to the other side of the room, because then they want me to do all sides? No, just bottom. Because I don't want to have to run a bunch of wires across the entire room. Alright, so I think we're going to do this next section. We'll get the pockets complete. Or at least... Actually, let me read what the next step is after that. Okay, we're going to pin and put the pockets on. So maybe we'll do that. Let's see how long it takes me to do this, to do all of this. Something like that. I'm at least gonna iron these so that the folds are correct. I don't know if I'm gonna try and stitch them on tonight. Like, on one side I'm like, I want to keep going, on the other side I'm like, no, I'm trying to get myself back into, like, a reasonable sleeping schedule. And I can just power sew a whole bunch tomorrow night. Alright, let's go press again. Swapping back. Come on, music. There we go. Just thinking real hard about it. This annoys me. Because sometimes this presses so well. And other times it's like, nah. I do what I want. No pressing for you. How far do I need to mark this? That's too far. That annoys me. Will you please? The iron is not cooperating here. It's like, no. Does not actually need. Well, the iron's not cooperating, and then the pressing is just not ideal. Alright, well, something like that. We might actually try to pin this onto the body of the pants. Not because I really want to, but because it's going to annoy the heck out of me after pressing it. That it caused me this much trouble. Actually, this is exactly what I want here. Too far? Exactly like that. This is why you don't touch hot things. She says that she touches a hot thing. I have to get used to, like, using a tool. And again, my space is not ideally set up for the way in which I should be doing this. I shouldn't say the way in which I should be doing this, but the way in which I can make this slightly less dangerous for myself, to which I'm not doing, as you might be able to tell. Not because I don't want to, it's just a pain. Getting everything to cooperate the way that I want. Like, just work with me here, would you, please? Ideally with me not burning myself. Something like this. Okay. Forget this. We are absolutely putting these on the pants tonight because I ain't doing this little ironing crap again. Okay. Let's take a look at. They want me. Alright. So. Pin pocket to front side along placement lines, matching notches, and large circles. Perfect. 100%. This is a thing that I can do. Alright. So. Actually, all my lines are pretty well placed. Look at that, y'all. I can occasionally place things correctly. Alright. Let's move this just a little bit. There we go. Haven't done a perfect job at my pressing, but it's good enough for what we are trying to accomplish here. Either because of how I cut it, potentially how I ironed it. Not quite perfect on the corner. But once again, it's good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be good enough. Not you. Won't be the most even pocket ever. But considering the comedy that was me trying to iron that, I'll take it. We've put a pocket. Oh no, I've done it again. Switching to crafting. We have now pinned a pocket on. So our pocket will go this way. Now let's do the other side. Oh, great. I gotta check how it wants me to stitch this. I've been abandoned by Susie. She actually stayed way longer than I anticipated. Oh, well, it's like mostly correct. Again, everything is not quite matching, but it's like good enough in the broad scheme of things. This one I think has more to do with how I cut. Actually, you know what? Let's repin this. The side is fine, but the top is where we're kind of struggling a bit here. There we go. Yeah, awkward stitching. It's fine. My pockets aren't going to look perfect, but hopefully nobody's going to be paying that much attention. And if you are looking that closely at my stitching, you better be somebody who does sewing things and you're asking me about it, or you're too close. Like if you're close enough to see my stitching mistakes, then you're too close. If you're close enough to see my uneven seams, you're too close. Alright. How did you want me to stitch this? Basting. Alright, so pin pocket the front. We're gonna baste raw edges together. Top stitch from front and lower edge. Okay, got it. So we'll do our basting stitches first. just basically across the top and then the side. All these are going to get closed up in other seams for the basting stitches. The fraying is the worst. Oh, my battery's fine. I was almost following the instructions. You are correct. Surprise. I do occasionally read the instructions and follow them instead of just winging it, which is the more appropriate way of doing this. This is not an ideal material for this type of project, but, you know, I did it to myself, so that was my mistake. Alright, how am I going to do this? All of my choices here are kind of terrible, so we're going to do it this way. Okay. So now we're going to go back to a regular stitch, and then they want us to top stitch once again at 1/4 inch. I mean, I don't know if I would call it a top stitch, but oh, I was like, what the heck? Here I am thinking I accidentally have stitched things together that I shouldn't have, but no, I just pinned them together that I shouldn't have. No, actually, I should have gone one more stitch. There we go. Now we'll turn it. That's much better. You can tell that I just eyeballed my ironing rather than, you know, marked it perfectly. Because I don't quite have the straightest of lines here. And the good part is where this fabric is getting caught up should be caught in the seam allowances. So, yay. We have the beginnings of a pocket, y'all. Alright. A couple things we're going to do here is we're also going how have I managed such uneven seams? Like, very carefully, clearly. Alright. Turn not terribly, please. There we go. Alright, we're gonna put the pockets in and finish here for the night. Or finish this stitching. Because they are not perfectly shaped pockets. They are not going to be perfectly even pockets, but they will be like most of a pocket. A good amount of pocket. How does that sound? Gosh, this fraying is terrible. I mean, in terms of my 1/4 inch cinching, it's not that bad. It's just the uneven pressing that I really did here. More than anything else. I have so many questions about this music. Alright. So, place this where y'all can see it. We now have stitching in of pockets on both sides. So, when I wear these, actually, let us swap cameras again. Throw this silly towel on the floor. They will be pockets. 1 pocket. 2 pocket. The edges, so the side that we base stitched and the top, will get caught up in other seams, so they will be hidden, but as is, we have the beginning of pockets. Well, we have pockets, I should say. We have like 3/4 of a pocket. Alright, let me skip this, because this tells me views A and C. So, and this is view B. Where are you? Instructions. There we go. Switch over. So, view B, we're gonna be putting 3 and 4 together, pressing them. Stitch from upper edge. Pin them, stitch from upper edge to large circle, clip side back at large circle. Press seam allowances toward back, above large circle. Okay. So they want me to clip that. Then we're going to top stitch it down. Then we're going to finish the hem. Squaring stitches a large circle, okay. We're going to put my other pockets in. So that'll be the back pocket. Okay, cool. Then I know it'll take time. Favorite set of pants, corduroy boot. Oh, nice. Right at the time, hated them, fixed them, cut the belt. Oh, no. Well, that's something. It's, switch cameras a second. I want to go into my booklet of notes. Alright, so these pants, we started them yesterday, which was the 7th. Start. Finish. I mean, I'm expecting, kind of reading through the pattern, that my biggest frustrations are going to end up being putting, putting the finishing touches, like the waistband on, which is always frustrating, and then like hemming everything. That's sort of what I'm expecting. But like, we ain't doing too bad. We have like half of a pant. Alright, so let me switch over to, we're going to switch over to Stream is Ending. We're going to wrap it here for the night. Thank you all so much for hanging out and keeping me company while we did some Blazer things and then did some pant things and got distracted at the beginning talking about why I need a serger, because of course I do. And nobody can convince me otherwise. So back here as usual Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. Probably, well, might be sewing, might not. Depends on how much I get done in the next 2 evenings. If I can get the bulk of my other projects done, like if I can get the pants complete or near complete, actually no. The pants would need to be complete. The Blazer homework is done. That's the nice part. Blazer homework is done. For the main Blazer. We need to finish the pants and sew the second Blazer. So that will be the TBD. So Thursday might be sewing, we might play video games. And by video games, I mean probably more Fortnite, because all I've wanted to play are things I don't have to think too hard about. Because that's just who I am as a person. So, let's take a real quick look. Yeah, get the pants. This is it. We were joking about having a matching pair of pants to the Blazer. And this, I just think it would be very funny. So I really want to do it on principle alone. Even if I don't finish the second Blazer, as long as I get the pants done, I'll be happy. Because the second Blazer I can do that over the weekend. So again, back here Thursday evening, going to be taking it easy. We're back onto a Monday, Thursday schedule, pending like nothing popping up in real life. But at least as of right now, nothing material happened. So, pants may be done, may not be done by Thursday. Who knows? We'll see. And we'll be back here as usual. So thank you all so much for hanging out, keeping me company. Please, as always, be safe, be healthy, happy crafting, happy gaming, and I will see you around the internet. Have a good one.